Perfect. Now recording. So everyone on the call here, we got Steve and myself and Carl. So to be honest, Carl and I aren't that important. It's all about Steve today and putting him on the spot.
Hilarious.
So basically, the crazy thing about the three of us is that we don't attend that whole guru mentality. We don't. Is that we are where we are today because we've all pretty much failed and made mistakes throughout our careers, and that's where we are now. So we're not gurus. We're just guys trying to help out and help you not make the same mistakes we did.
Yeah, so many mistakes. Good Lord. The millions I've wasted on mistakes, I could write a book.
Yeah, and I think I was just saying it's also important that we also can learn from other guys on the call just as much as they can learn from us.
So what we'll do is we'll kick off with the questions, and we'll ask the questions first. And Steve will answer mainly, but I'm sure Carl and I will pick up where we can. So, Carl, I'll go first. Is that cool?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So the first question is, how do you build a highly profitable Amazon business in 2018 with the constant changes that seem to occur at Amazon?
Boy, that's a good one. So the first thing I think guys miss sometimes is this idea that just selling on Amazon leads to profit, right? Everybody likes to talk about their turnover. I'm doing 10,000 a month, 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month, a million a month, whatever it is. And that's an easy benchmark for people to share, but that doesn't mean it's profitable, right? There's been many times that I've seen guys sell multi-million dollars of business and not have a lot to show for it. So to me, it starts out with the recognition that change is constant. It's going to happen. We can't control Amazon. We do everything we can, by the way, to lobby Amazon. I'm in Seattle. I live in Seattle, and I'm over there at least once a month begging them to do something to make our lives better. But we just simply can't control them. And I do think they're making incremental progress that makes things better for sellers. So we have to surrender ourselves to go, we can't control Amazon and the changes, so just get ready for them. Just be prepared for them. And I would say as a little subtitle to that those changes that come are most often related to beating down bad behaviors. At least that's Amazon's perspective. So everything from review manipulation, BSR manipulation, this and that, almost all of those things are to temper what they see as bad actors, bad behaviors. Whether or not I agree with them is secondary. That's just what they're doing. So if you know that those changes are coming and they're focused on kind of the short-term hack type things, then the logical thing then is to kind of extrapolate yourself and go, all right, well, how do I look long-term and how do I build that profitable business? And to me, it starts with some of the basics. This is not rocket science. What if you had a product that people actually wanted, that you charged an appropriate margin for it, and that you made sure that you iterated? So, and I'll let you guys jump in here in a second, but one little nomenclature issue I have with people is they say, oh, I'm in the private label business. And I'd like that business better than I like arbitrage, where you just kind of buy and sell stuff because there's more margin and some equity there. But I want people to be in the brand building business, right? Just buying a product in China, here, I'll just hold this up, and sticking your own label on it. That's what private labeling means, or you can buy it anywhere, by the way. But private labeling is not how you're going to get a profitable, long-term, sustainable business. It's by building a brand. So you have to have a good product. You should iterate on whatever base model that you're trying to, what I call R&D. So you're R&Ding some model, some item you found on Amazon. In this case, by the way, R&D means rip off and duplicate. It does not mean. So once you rip off and duplicated somebody, then you better make it better. And it better be meaningful, and it better be tangible, and it better be something that people are willing to make remarks about it. And therefore, it's remarkable. If it's not, if it's just another silicone spatula, it's going to be hard. So margin, differentiation, and then be prepared for change.
Yeah, right? Can I just jump in? Yeah. Yeah, so we're currently working on a product which in the last sort of 6 months or so, in the marketplace, it's just exploded. So everyone's trying to do it, and you can get it anywhere, so to speak, and just put your label on it. So we're going to add tea tree oil to it and make it that much better. But first and foremost, it is all about building the brand with a great product. So in some ways, I can agree with it on that one.
So what I find really surprising is that, I mean, I'm sure, Stephen, actually, we all get this question a lot, is how to prepare for Amazon 2018 or same thing 2017, 16, so on and so forth. And everyone says, but how do you compete with the new competition? And I think you guys hit on the head there, is that it's about the brand, is that if you're worried about competition, then obviously your marketing skills, your brand management skills aren't up to scratch, because competition only makes your brand stronger.
Oh, totally.
And competitions is so good for us. It really is. And the thing is, that if we're in a niche where there's no competition, we're not making much money.
Can I just jump in again? Sorry, Steve. So we also do bricks and mortar, and we just opened up a new store, and the competition down the road who has a similar store walked past them the other day and heard them on the phone saying, oh, now we've got to do X, Y, Z to compete with this new guy. So competition makes people that much better.
It really does. I know that everybody gets in their head that once they copied and ripped off somebody, that nobody should ever do that to them, but it's going to happen.
Totally.
Right? And so
totally.
This is why, if you don't think about it from a branding perspective and a differentiation perspective long term, it's difficult to have that sustainable, profitable business that people really want. There is no magic bullet, by the way. It's not one thing, it's 1,000 small things. And ideally you can find a way to line up those things in a way that is not going to, make you go crazy.
Right. Should we try and jump on to the second question,
Actually,
Paul?
before we do the second question, before that, Stephen, you mentioned something there earlier in your comment about short-term hacks. And a number of the questions we received were actually about short-term strategies. Would you mind talking about your idea, your strategy when it comes to short-term hacks?
Yeah, so there are a number of different kind of hacky things, or ninja this or that, and I'm fine with any of it. Exploit anything that you can for as long as you can. But if you spend, your 80% of your time on those things, this is what Amazon's going to change the most. And if I could expand and give a little history lesson for anybody who has not been around online, I started selling online. My first website was in 1996. My first sale was in 1998, was a secure shopping cart. And those are 90s, by the way. That was almost 20 years ago. Google went through this process where you could just hack the crap out of it. SEO was dead simple, and we just watched the money come raining in, and we're like, we're geniuses. This is like magic pixie dust, and it's easy. And then Google starts changing algorithms, and pretty soon there were walls around Google, and you just could not do anything to get money out of Google except put money in Google. And the point is, this is going to happen on Amazon. So exploit hacks to whatever extent that you need to. Don't fully invest. Make sure that you're balancing between short-term strategy, short-term tactics and long-term strategy. We often call this dual vision. You have to have your eye on today and run the business and make things happen, but where are you going in the future? And without that dual vision, you can get distracted by one or the other too much.
Yeah, great answer. Love that. And the thing is, what I find surprising, all those short-term hacks, how long are they really effective for? We all know is that as soon as the masses start doing them, when every so-called guru starts making the new strategy, they lose their power very, very quickly.
Well, this is the other thing, is that there's a rumor mill that happens in this Amazon seller community that is crazy. I mean, like somebody drops a rumor, and the next thing you know, that's like the Lord said it himself. And I can tell you that I've been at Amazon, and they laugh at some of the rumors that we pass around. They're like, A, we don't look for that. B, we've never even considered looking for that. And C, why would we care? And I'm talking about things like super URLs and other things that we all think are like, Jesus himself said you can't do this. But Amazon has no idea what we're talking about. So I would just say that there are things that if they make sense and they work, then keep doing them. The second they stop working, don't get ourselves stuck in the idea of, Amazon changed and throw a fit. You get what you get, you don't throw a fit, and you move on.
Great, thanks for that.
I just asking the guys on there, if you just want to chime in and say if this stuff resonates with you guys, can you just type yes, so we know we're on the right track with you people?
That's right.
Hey. Do the whole yes thing.
Hey, I'll just add in there, Jason, Pete, Martin. All right, thank you.
Then, Carl, you had the next question.
Oh.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Dave, what's your I think experience with big products, and would you recommend it to a beginner? What's the best way to find the highest quality supplier outside Alibaba? There's a double question.
So a big product, I don't know if that means oversized or if it means something else.
I'm thinking they're talking about not oversized, but something really, like hard to compete with because everyone's on that bandwagon today.
Okay, so first of all, I have a pretty decent experience with big complex items like shipping pallets all over the place, as well as bigger ticket items. Things that have $900 to $1,500 US average tickets. So I get that.
Yeah. I imagine it's a spatula type question. How can we compete with all the spatula guys?
Yeah, so if you need a giant spatula for an upcoming barbecue, let me tell you how.
Yeah.
For me, I do think that by moving up the value chain, if you will, and having a higher ticket item, you're going to have less competition than you do in that kind of, let's call it the $15 to $35 or $40 range US. So if you're getting into that $60 to $90 range, I think you're going to have less competition. So that's a good thing to start out with. If Alibaba's not getting the job done for you in terms of finding sources, go to China. Go to a trade show. There are trade shows all over, by the way. You can go to trade shows in your local towns, big ones that are relevant to your industry, toys, the body cream stuff that people put on, cosmetics, whatever they're called.
Oh, that's my niche. Shush.
Oh, sorry. Just let out a secret, everybody. There are these trade shows all over the world, Germany, England, America, but I go to China because that's now again it does change by niche, like supplements or the cosmetic stuff. I'm going to do that in the U.S. or a European country so that I don't have any kind of concerns about safety. And one little tip for you: if you're not really good at understanding sourcing from China, go read the book by Paul Midler, Poorly Made in China is the name. It's a very, very good book. And I probably lived most of the stories he's talked about in that book in one way or another, both the good ones and the negative ones. Poorly Made in China, that's right. Thank you, Carl. But this will tell you how China works on a cultural level and on a negotiating and manufacturing level. There are lots of ways to find, a supplier. Alibaba, I think, is a fine way to start. I have a team in China, and often we'll start on Alibaba, and then we'll go use trade shows, and we'll layer in other places like 1688 or referrals or what have you. So anybody who thinks that Alibaba is played out, it's ugly and it's hard to work with, but you can find stuff in there that is worthwhile, at least getting the ball rolling.
Okay, let me put this to you then. You have a team in China. Is it just your team that you solely, or is it something that I or Paul or anyone else can come to you and say, look, we need help?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, the main principle is that my guys are kind of working on my stuff, and they stay pretty busy. Okay. We did put together, particularly for our mastermind group, the Catalyst 88 group, some value add services like, hey, you can go get your photos taken in China, and there's $20 a photo and they'll be done before the product ships. Or, hey, you need an inspection, you need this or that. It's very simple to do some of that stuff. But we're also looking for other resources to help people. So if anybody needs to go that, I can just type in the link here, and you guys can take a look. But it doesn't matter.
I know people are going to ask, and it's an absolute nightmare to manage that sort of level of support.
Well, I could say, so first of all, I don't deal with the stuff day to day. My leader in China is named William, not his God-given name, by the way, but that's how
he's chosen the English name.
Actually, his real name is Wu Wenbao, something like that. So it's still pretty easy. But William runs that office, and he takes care of the customers. And if there's ever an escalation, like we have a very simple policy. Somebody doesn't like something, just give them their money back. We don't care.
Right.
But, my team, both the China and the U.S. side, they cleared 150, 160 containers in January of this year alone. They know what they're doing.
Jeez.
That's some serious level.
Yeah, well, it was Chinese New Year, so it's probably a little higher than the average month, but not by much.
Yeah. Okay.
And Steve, there's a question here about that. Someone asked, actually Peter asked, is your entity in China run through a rep office or wholly owned foreign enterprise?
That's a good question, Pete. So we've done different ways there. So in some cases we've used, like I have a company in Hong Kong right now that I use, and it pays the workers directly. So we don't like to set up things inside China because they're too complex. We have done that before with an e-commerce company there, and the regulation and the foreign ownership piece and all of that is just such a pain. So basically it's a Hong Kong company that I own, and then the team members all get paid by the Hong Kong company, and they are, kind of 100% employed. And by the way, William, for example, we've probably been working together for 12 years. Alex is another one of my guys there, probably close to 10 years. And then I have some newer folks on the team as well. But the point is, these are long, deep relationships. And when you read that book, Poorly Made in China, you'll know why that's important.
Cool.
And for you guys, it's okay. You can set up a relationship with somebody from the start, whether it's Upwork or Alibaba, just find a sourcing agent, give them a clear specification, and then coach them through the process. And again, using the context of Poorly Made in China, you know what to look out for. And this will give you the hints on how to get better at it.
Cool. Cheers.
Carl, is it you or me? I forgot.
I think it's you, my friend.
Okay, cool. So I'm just picking on questions here. And the one so Stephen, actually, this is quite a long question. So one of the common themes of all the questions submitted where people were saying is that cash flow is the biggest problem. And the question here is that when is the right time to go for funding, and is funding the right move to make?
Yeah, so let me take that question apart in a couple pieces here. So for those listening, if you guys would put in the chat window, when you talk about cash flow being the problem, what's the number one expense in your business that takes the cash? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page with you guys. I'll give you a second. Okay, products, inventory, new product ideas, inventory. Okay, so we generally agree. Paul's got his own answer in there. Yep. I can't help you with that, Paul, but
my answer was my wife.
No.
For those interested in, so I agree in principle that the biggest issue when it comes to capital is inventory, right? You have to buy inventory, and then you're putting deposits, and it's floating on the water, and now you need to order your next bit because its sales are going really good, and it's like you can't keep up with that cash flow. So before I get into options of like external funding, and we could talk about that to whatever extent you guys want. I've done a great deal of that. I start with the basics, and the basic is, what about getting terms from your supplier? How many of you guys have terms, and by the way, I mean credit terms from your supplier, not 30% down, 70% at shipping. That's cash terms. But how many of you guys have, let's say, get paid in 60 days after the order ships? That's when you pay the supplier. 0 down, pay 60 days after it ships. Anyone?
That's incredibly rare.
That's a no. Well, it depends on who you ask. All right, so we got a bit different. Jorg says he's got some terms. Nope. So most of you guys don't have terms. So Jat says no. One supplier in the UK, which is UK and US, Europe, it's not uncommon to get 30-day terms. And then, now I don't understand this from SW3. No, but can get price ready to send before payment required. Or maybe get product ready to send before payment required. So that means maybe nothing down, but you pay at shipment. So let me just give you I'll just tell you the truth. You can get terms from suppliers in China. Suppliers do this commonly. You don't think Walmart and Costco and Tesco and these guys show up in China and they go pay us in cash, right? They're getting terms. So can we all agree that the general principle of terms is not unique? China gets it. Mm-hmm. Every Chinese supplier loves cash. Why wouldn't they? All of the risk is on you. None of it is on them, right? And so, if you're ordering tiny quantities, by the way, I want to make sure that we set a little bit of a standard. If you're doing tiny MOQs, cash is probably appropriate just to keep the ball rolling. But as you start getting into larger quantities, and I'm talking about containers plus, you should ask for terms. And here's some of the little code words that you can use. When you talk to your supplier, number one, I would have more than one supplier. That's always a key, right? Manufacturing, in my opinion, is a commodity. So have more than one supplier. And you go to the guy that you like and the guy you think is your friend and best buddy, and you say, hey, listen, I still want to use you. You're great. But the guy in the back room, and you can use whatever guy in the back room you want. It could be an auditor. It could be your board of directors. It could be your wife. It could be whoever you want. But the guy in the back room is on me about our risk. You know, we're paying too much, and we can't have that money floating around. So I'm going to need you guys to give me terms. And I want you to go to Sinosure. I'll type that in for you. S-I-N-O. I typed it wrong. Sinosure. S-I-N-O. It may have spell corrected me. So Sinosure. So number one, yes, Jet, have multiple suppliers at least capable of making the product, not necessarily that are all making it live. But if you tell a guy to give you terms and you can't make the switch, then it's hard to negotiate when you're bluffing. So the second piece is then you go to whoever your preferred suppliers. You say, I'm going to require these terms. And you can set whatever time frame makes sense to you. Net 60 is what I like. So 60 days from when it ships is when they get paid by us. And the way Sinosure works is it's a credit insurance company. So Sinosure will guarantee that the factory, if we don't pay, will get 80% of the money. Also, with that credit insurance, any supplier can go to their bank and get accounts receivable financing on the amount you owe, because they know they're going to get 80% no matter what from Sinosure if you default. So Sinosure is a government-owned credit insurance company, and they know every shipment you've ever made out of China. They already know it, by the way. And so they act as like a credit firm that will just, when the supplier goes to them and says, hey, Carl wants credit, they'll go, no, that guy's got no credit. But then they go to Paul and they go, Paul wants credit. And they go, okay, Paul's got good credit. He can have $100,000 a month or $200,000. Just kidding, of course. But they'll base on your volume, your past volume, they'll give you credit. If you've been importing or exporting from China for at least a year, Sinosure already has a credit file on you and will extend credit. And it costs suppliers about 0.5% per 15 days or 1% a month. So if you go to a supplier and you say, I want this net 60 days, part of their reaction is, no, I want cash. But if you can convince them that, hey, this is important and the board of directors is on me and the auditors and everybody's, it's not me, it's them, then that can help. And when you do that, then you say, check with Sinosure, see what we can get the credit insurance going. And most everybody's going to get at least $50,000 or $100,000 of credit if you've done any kind of volume. And then you can decide if you want to split that cost with them for the first 6 months or ask them to take it on themselves or offer to pay it yourself. But that alone can change your dynamic of cash flow in a pretty significant way. Your free cash flow can change by 60 to 90 days.
Okay, can I just sort of interject there? So you're talking from a perspective of someone who's been in this for years, who's now shipping 1 million containers a month. So people are going to say, how the hell do I get there, and what timescale should I look at to know that I'm on the right track? Is it a year? Is it 6 months? At what point would they turn around and say, that's me, I'm going towards that figure? Okay,
so after a year, if you're doing more than, let's say, I would say if you're doing more than a couple 100,000 of exports from China, now this is particularly relevant to China. There are credit insurance companies globally, just to be clear. Yep. So I've done, stuff in Portugal and Brazil and all over the world, and there's credit insurance companies that work everywhere. But for China, Sinosure, if you have done at least 250,000 in exports from China, and you've been around at least a year, you can probably get insurance.
Cool. So that's the target people can look at and say, I'm on that right path.
Yeah.
Stephen, that's for any company, whether they're UK, US based.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. The importer, which is you, is the one they're running the credit on.
Although I'd say UK, you can actually go for that credit a lot sooner. Credit terms.
Good, good. Yeah, listen, I only put the year down just to kind of give
Yeah.
a rough number, but I can tell you, we just opened up. So we had one supplier, and it was a kind of a headache, and we had to replace them. And we brought on 4 new suppliers, brand new suppliers, and every single one of them, from the very first container, we had terms.
And can I just also say something? That's another reason why you need to go to these trade shows, because the trade shows open you up to a lot more suppliers, and you can bounce those figures around and use that as credibility and get other new suppliers as well. So there's another good reason to visit China.
Yeah, I quite agree. And so, fundamentally think of it like just various steps in the puzzle, right? The first is to ask for terms. And when they say no, then you go, well, but really it's important. And the guy in the back room is all over me. And right, because you don't want to be the final decision maker. This is why I like to use auditors and board of directors and things like that. I'm the good guy. It's the guys in the back room that are the bad guys. And you just got to help me. They're killing me over here. And when you do that, then they kind of understand. When you go to trade shows or you meet other suppliers and you start talking about credit from the first day, it's a lot easier for them to get behind. Some small factories will go, it's impossible, I just can't do it. And if you continue to use them, you're risking all of your money and all of your business on them. I think it's a bad bet long term. You need to change the leverage to your side of the equation.
Okay, should we go for another question?
Yeah. And actually, Stephen, that was a great answer, because now I'm never even knew what Sangashu. So thank you for that. I'm learning a lot here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when people talk about funding, there are other options that, guys like Upfund and various ways of trying to get additional capital, Amazon lending. I can tell you at the Empowery e-commerce cooperative, empowery.com, we are customized negotiating for Amazon businesses a commercial credit line for inventory. So let's say, as step 1 is you get terms from your supplier, and step 2 is once you have that inventory, you want to be able to extend your credit on that further, and you use inventory financing. And the point of it is to have lower cost access to this credit, and it's secured by your inventory. I hope that makes sense. So there are ways as you step forward to get more and more scale.
Cool.
Jat asked a question. Will this work if you use agencies to ship your products? Well, if you are using agencies, they can probably already give you credit anyway. Most trading companies have credit facilities that they can do, and they don't want to lose you. And so I would push trading companies for credit even faster than the manufacturers. In terms of the entity of record, I think as long as you can demonstrate that you've had, significant exports from China, then you'll be able to get credit from Sinosure. And again, the factory is just using them for credit insurance. It's a much lower standard than, giving you an advance on the money.
Yeah, and I guess it's crowdfunding and stuff like that. Okay, anyone in the audience got any more questions for Steve on this topic, or should we move on? That sounds like a no.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Paul, if you can see one, jump in. If not, I'll try and find one.
Okay.
I'm seeing trends.
Yeah, I think the trends one was quite a good question.
Yeah, okay. So, Steve, you ready?
Sure.
What are some of the trends you see for Amazon sellers in terms of Amazon's direction and strategy towards third-party sellers? That's a meaty one.
Well, I could tell you that 18 months ago, I explained to Amazon that I never saw them as a two-way street, that they were a one-way street, and I was like Frogger trying to get over that street, and I kept getting run over by stupid Amazon. So I could say 18 months ago, maybe a little more, there was not much hope, in my view, that they were going to come around. But over that last year and a half, they have really started to make some moves with what they call seller experience. And then they even launched something called the Seller Love Program. And, I've had the pleasure of going to place at Amazon where we've had like Seller Love happy hours and things like that, where they bring all of these they call them product managers, the people in charge of, lightning deals, the people in charge of sponsored products, and, all of these various Amazon departments. And they're really good people, and they're trying to make a difference. They really want to figure out what's wrong with the system. They're trying to make things better. And they know that they don't have it all right to get together. They just get it, that they suck in many ways, but they're trying to get better. And I think, if there's any trend that I see happening, Amazon is genuinely trying to make moves that make things better. And I see that as a very positive step. The other trends in terms of the marketplace growth, marketplace sellers keep taking a larger share of the Amazon market. The fact that Amazon just laid off hundreds of people, mostly vendor-related people, these are signs that would demonstrate that Amazon's fully committed and loves the marketplace model. And why wouldn't they? They make tons of money off it, and they have no risk. So I see nothing but positive things there. But that doesn't mean it'll be easy, right? It just means it's going in a positive direction. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's what I see.
Yeah, I agree. I think the vendor side is dying, and even the people that I speak to on Amazon, they say, we are here to help you succeed on Amazon. And I truly believe that. I speak to a lot of people, some people who turn around and they say, what? You're talking to Amazon and you're inviting Amazon into your talks? Don't do that. Yes, do that. Yeah. They are. I genuinely think they are here to help, and they want to actually, make it a better experience, not just for the people that are buying, but also for the sellers.
So it does matter which division they work at in Amazon, right? The guys who are in the vendor direct side, believe me, their P&L, their balance sheets and their bonuses are all levered on them selling more stuff. And the guy in Amazon private label, they love to knock our stuff off and carry on. Remember that one of the Amazon 3 pillars is low prices. So they'll do everything they have to do, and I mean everything, to keep price competition very high. That means selling against us. That means developing private labels against us. And that means kind of constantly allowing hijackers to come into the market. They're trying to balance that price competition and the bad actors, but I see them always, erring on the side of low prices. And so, let's not kid ourselves. It's going to still be a battle, and Amazon's not going away when it comes to the retail side, the direct side. But I definitely agree that when you're talking to the right guys, seller experience and so on and so forth, you're going to find them genuinely trying to do the right thing for you as a seller.
Which goes back to your original statement of building a brand rather than a PL.
Of course.
There's a question here from Jason. Do you think Amazon would prefer the launch process and marketing to be wholly achievable on Amazon alone? Or do they still want traffic from other sources and even help from other sources?
Yeah, so again, that depends on who you ask. If you go into Amazon exclusives, then obviously they're like, hey, just live in our little world and go nowhere. And by the way, pay us extra money for that privilege.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
They do offer, things like free lightning deals and other access to things inside of exclusives. And that's how they rationalize their 5% on the gross sales, by the way, extra. Amazon, the other side of Amazon, they love it when we send in traffic. Us sending Facebook or Google or Pinterest or, pick your guy, sending that traffic into Amazon is free to them. They love it. And by the way, they don't just buy our stuff. If anybody has ever had an Amazon Associates account, the affiliate thing, whatever you're advertising, yeah, sometimes that gets purchased, but so many other times people are buying all the other things they need for their house. So Amazon loves it when we send in traffic. So again, it kind of depends on who you ask there.
And would you think that's an algo spike?
In terms of
if you're sending in traffic from outside, do you think that helps us?
I do. Yeah, I do think it helps. And I can say that, we haven't had, like I don't have it in writing, them swearing to it, but we have had guys that have been a part of the algorithm, A9 team, and they don't unequivocally say, yeah, send, traffic in from outside and your ranking goes up. But they certainly gave us enough information that just says, you know what, why wouldn't it help? Right. And I think people get a little worried about the conversion rate when you send in that outside traffic. I think the outside traffic is more powerful, weighted more than lowering the conversion for a short term, if anybody cares.
That's actually a very good tip. Yeah, I'm gonna take it to heart.
Yeah, it could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll let you know in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can say that when you do it and you do it properly with, keywords rooted in it, I wouldn't mess with timestamps or any of that other stuff. But, we did a campaign in the UK, and we just advertised on Google, a couple keywords, then we limited it to our product or product showing, and that thing ranked really quick. And we had to raise it. We started the price at like £30, and by the end we were selling for £85, and we sold out. So
I'm assuming you're talking about a two-step URL.
That general concept, yeah. We didn't use that fancy name at the time. We just found the search and limited it to our item. But yes,
okay.
That is what I mean.
I guess, Paul, if I might ask, but I guess that can segue into building funnels, and specifically a question I see here about chatbots. Do you want to focus on that one, Paul?
So I'm so biased about that. So as everyone knows, I'm huge into chatbots, and
me too.
The way I see it, oh yeah, I've seen your flows; they're really cool. But anyway, I won't hop on about that. But no, the way I'm seeing the chatbots is that it's just in a personal communication with your customer. That's the main thing. So, I pretty much study every guru out there when they do anything with bots. And what's amazing about that is that all they do is they get the customer and send them a link to the offer, whatever it is. And why do that? Essentially, messenger bots are like taking a girl on a date. If you see a girl in a bar, you approach her, you're not going to approach her and say, hey, do you want to go upstairs? You're going to say, no, you're going to try wine and dine her. She gave you a look, which is the same thing as someone showing interest in your ad. She clicked on it, so meaning that she gave you a look and calls you over. Then you go there and say, do you want to go upstairs? No, your first wine and dine her. Maybe try a second date, a third date, and then take her upstairs wherever you want to go. And that's where the sale comes in. And that's what I love about messenger bots, is that we can pick and choose, do these things all the time, and automate every aspect of that. And that's a long-winded answer, but pretty much the way I see chatbots going, it's going to be the new platform for Amazon sellers, actually e-commerce sellers, to be closer to the customers.
And I think that's a way to direct traffic to a place where you then put that in the funnel to then direct it to either your own website or to Amazon, and then do an algo spike.
Yeah, I agree entirely, and I didn't realize I was going to get such great dating advice, but thank you for that, Paul.
I was just writing that down. That's my new.
It's going to be a whole new day, ladies. Believe me, I'm armed and ready. Wine and dine, that's the key. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, Stephen, here's a good question. Because, everyone here on the call knows what your levels and what you've done and so on and so forth. So the question is, what are the three things what are the three things that you attribute to your own success in business?
Three things. Well, first, I am not afraid to make mistakes. So I actually have a series of axioms that I wrote them down. I called them axioms because then I don't sound like a crazy old man who just repeats himself, right? So this is a marketing lesson for everybody. If you're repeating yourself often, you just call them axioms, and then you're not the crazy person. So one of my axioms is that you can't be afraid to fail fast, right? And people are so often afraid of making a mistake that they'll take their time, and they'll tell you things like, hey, I'm a perfectionist and this and that. And whatever the opposite of perfectionist is, that's me. Like, I don't care. I want to go, and I want to get better and better and iterate as things go. I don't mind making mistakes. Carl.
Yeah, can I just say that I think that what I've seen is people focus on all the success stories they see and think they have to emulate exactly that, or they'll be failures. Forget about those. Do what you need to do and find out and get your nose dirty. That's my thoughts. That's my axiom.
I like that. Yeah, Christian actually points out a good thing. The opposite of a perfectionist is an entrepreneur. I quite agree. So being able to, I would say number one is the failing fast, not be afraid to make mistakes. Number two is persistence. It just takes time. And I'm not a patient person by by trade, right? I had to learn patience. And even now when we fail, I'm not thrilled about it. We're missing some deadlines on this or that. It's like, what are you going to do, right? And you just try to get better and faster and smarter. And that's kind of the third thing is I'm a constant learner. I'm always willing to learn. And so one of my axioms is I don't know nothing about nothing, right? And I literally, it's like, that's axiom zero. Is I don't know nothing about nothing, and I need to go learn whatever it is to make me successful. And I don't mind along the path of success failing and failing and failing. And we do it regularly. I could tell you stories that would make your skin crawl, honestly.
And
go, Carl.
what's your and we talked before your other axiom with Zig Ziglar? Maybe you want to throw that in.
Yeah. So I actually I don't call this an axiom, but it's part of my personal philosophy. And this is kind of why I'm on this call, and this is why I like to help entrepreneurs is, you can have everything you want in your life if you help enough other people get what they want in their life. And that's how I approach things. I love entrepreneurs. It's a fundamental part of my DNA that I love entrepreneurs.
And guys, if you can listen to this, it's basically a great author, salesman called Zig Ziglar. I've read a lot of his stuff, and he's brilliant.
It really is. It is a philosophical foundation piece for me. And you can, if you go to StevenSimonson.com, you can see a bunch of the stuff that I do. And half of that stuff in there, I'll just put in the link for you. Half of the stuff there are things that we set up free for entrepreneurs, awesomers.com and other things like that. So I love entrepreneurs. It's just a question of I can't be everywhere at one time, right? And that's that's my only limitation is I can't be everywhere at one time.
Cool. I need to put my own URL there, carlpemberton.com, but just don't have it yet. Next week. Right. You see any other questions there, Paul? Unless someone's on the line.
And no questions there yet. I'll pick out a nice one now. Okay, there we go. How is the best way to scale from 60K a month to 6-7 figures? I stole that call.
I know. Well done. Nice catch.
All right. Yeah. So there's a bunch of questions in there. So the first, if you're trying to go from whatever, 60,000 up to the double figures or whatever it is, 6 figures, you should start by replicating what already got you the 60,000, right? If that's 1 or 2 products, then get 3 or 4 products. Whatever you're doing, it's working. And you just need to kind of replicate that and do more of it. I'm a big believer in, spending money on marketing. So another axiom is you don't have a real business if you can't pour money in the top of the funnel and have profit come out of the bottom of the funnel. So this means whether it's Google or Amazon spreading the pixie dust around, get all you can. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet and take every bit of magic you can get. But at the end of the day, if you want a real business, you're going to pour money in the top for marketing and profit has to come out the bottom. And so that's an important factor. And I see that Jason has asked, what percentage of revenue do you spend on marketing? And I would just say it depends on the timeline of the product or the business. Overall, we would say that spending 20% is a hard charging, fast moving business. But when you're launching a product on Amazon, you could spend 50 or 100% of the money and still rationalize how that's helping you. The same goes for Google or other things. Now, you can't spend 100% long term if you're not getting enough organic sales bump or other things aren't happening to offset that spend. But my point is that revenue lever should be based on the context of the situation. So overall, again, 10% is a great number for e-commerce, especially if you have big ticket, low margin items. But if you have a bigger margin, let's say 60% plus, then 20% is a fine number to target as an overall piece of the puzzle, not as an individual launch piece or an individual product strategy piece. There again, I could rationalize spending a bunch more. So the quick answer on that to review, whatever you did to get to 60, do more of that. And usually it's launching more products. And if you haven't already maximized things like sponsored products, AMS, dabble with things like Facebook or Google, whatever you need to widen your funnel for those existing items. All of those things are useful.
Okay, we've got SW Watchers here. Is it still worth using Google or better to stick with Facebook? and what is the best way to get influencers on Instagram? So we're looking at social media now.
Yeah, so Google, unfortunately, they require a bigger scale of advertising to really get good and optimized. So I would start with Facebook in general, and I would also, Facebook extends immediately into Instagram very well. So, and you can also do tests on Facebook for smaller amounts of money. You can test messaging for $5 to $25 a day on an item, and if that works, great. If it doesn't work, that's okay too. Instagram, again, you can test in small batches, but once you figure out something that works, then you want to increase and you want to add some split testing. So you've got a message you think generally works. Well, mix in a different photo, mix in a different action step, call to action button, whatever it is, and you should be testing with about $150 at that stage. Otherwise, Facebook cuts your ads off too early if you only do, like, say, $25 or $45. So I think Facebook's the one to start with right out of the gates. If you're running traffic to your own website, if you have a website that you are trying to drive business to, Google product listing ads remain viable, in my opinion. And I would definitely do PLAs as a minimum if you are trying to drive traffic to your own site. But make sure that you did those correctly.
I'd also say that you really want to not necessarily look at the gate for influencers on Instagram, but build your following up on Instagram, and your influencers will come and find you.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Instagram getting influencers, but I do know guys who are very successful, and they're running contests essentially on Instagram with other Instagrammers with more traffic. And when you do that and you can participate in that, there's an opportunity for everybody to kind of win. And in one way, I don't like contest entry people in general. I don't think they convert well to sales. So we get ourselves confused a little bit. It's like, hey, I'll give you guys a quick story. At one point, we were getting about 1,000 new leads a day on a particular e-commerce business. None of that was from Amazon. So 1,000 new registrations a day. And we're like, yeah, this is awesome. And we were only getting like 300 or 400 in the prior week. So I'm like, how did we double or triple our output? And the marketing guys are like, hey, don't worry about it. We know things. And then over time, we watched our conversion go down, and we watched our leading indicators go down. We're like, we put in more traffic. Why are all of our other stats sucking? And at the end of the day, we found out they were going in and they were buying a bunch of contest leads. And contest leads are not always buyer leads. And so I want you to just bear that in mind. It's okay to build an influencer group, but to have an expectation that contest-based emails or contest-based influencers will translate into buyers may be a mistake.
Stephen, one thing I wanted to ask you, and it's come up quite a bit in the questions. So before this webinar, I asked everyone about 4 questions. One of the questions were, what is the one thing holding them back from hitting their goals? And the vast majority of people actually said that they themselves are the reason. And in one case, one person said they are the bottom. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just saying that's very insightful.
And then one person said it so much so is that they are the bottleneck to their growth. So I've seen this a lot in the entrepreneur community. When people fear that they are the problem in the business, what do you think they should do?
Well,
tough one.
I can tell you, whoever has that self-awareness, you're right. You are the problem. So I got good news and bad news. You're also the magic that makes it work, but you are also the problem. And so we have a little funny thing that we call the bottleneck pledge. And it's basically, I, Steve Simonson, am a bottleneck. I've been a bottleneck for 10 years. Every day I take action to try to return or try to get out of my bottleneck ways. And today I pledge to redouble my efforts to stop being a bottleneck. And
do we all need to get together in a round circle? And
we do, yeah. And
I'm there.
Anybody else who's trying to get out of being a bottleneck. So I think the recognition, and this is a pretty big deal, the recognition of you're not going to be the best at every job. And there are parts of our ego that go, no, I know, I'll say that out loud, and I might even entertain it when other people say it, but I don't really believe it. I am the smartest. I am the best. But I guarantee you there's somebody smarter and better in every possible part of your business. And one of the things that we try to encourage people to do is think about their organization as a functional organization. As a matter of fact, if you guys want, I can put up a slide or two. Would that help you?
Yeah.
Listen, I'll ask the audience. If you guys want me to put up a slide and talk about how to go from a bottleneck to not being a bottleneck, I'm happy to do it, but I don't want to waste your time either. Okay, Jason says yes.
One yes, or it's not very good.
Yeah,
No,
it's all going yes, yeah.
All right, well, I should have thought that I have to do technical work here.
We've got some yeses.
Okay, I'm going to try to do this share a screen, and let's see what happens. Share screen. And luckily,
Let me know if it stops you. It might not, because if you're not the host.
Oh, we're there. Well done. Yeah,
yeah, it's working.
Oh, man, we are just like,
right there.
Look at us.
Okay, so let me just go here. So this is the typical, let's just see if this will go full screen here.
You're just showing off with Frank Kearney now.
Sorry. Okay, so this is what a bottleneck looks like, right? There's the founder, and everybody reports to you. And if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. This is everybody's problem, right? And the point is, you being the bottleneck and you being that center of chaos is a terrible thing, and it's absolutely unscalable. Now, everybody agrees with that in principle, but they don't know what to do about it, right? And so one of the things that we talk about in our process, let's see if this is the, I won't bore you with the process itself. We put together this process because it's like a mountain range. There's parts of it that are easier than other parts, but all of it is a workout. You're going to burn calories.
Is there any way we can get hold of this after the fact?
Hilarious. I doubt it, but thanks for asking. So here's kind of how the big brands do it, and this is how they do the functional. Now, I know there's going to be the guys who want to talk about the circle org charts, right, where nobody reports to anybody and everybody's a free-range chicken, and they just do their own thing, and they manage themselves, and everybody loves life, and this is more of a traditional hierarchical look. But I'm not suggesting the hierarchy as much as I'm suggesting the functions. Figure out the functions of your business. If you're in, you probably have a finance, you probably have a sales, you probably have product or merchandising, as we call it. You probably have tech, you probably have, logistics. Once you define these things, then you start putting in positions, and you go, well, I need somebody who's the head of that department. And right now, your name is in all those buckets. And if you guys need a reference for this kind of concept, go read the book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love E-Myths.
Right. Very, very good, right? Because the E-Myth is, hey, if I'm an entrepreneur, I'm my own boss and life is great. But the myth is you actually work harder for less money than you ever did before if you don't do it right. So the point is, by breaking it into functions like this and putting in some positions, then you'll have the forward vision to go, well, my name's in all of these, and here's what I hate the most. Whether it's customer service or whatever the case may be, I hate this piece the most, so I've got to get it out of my world. That doesn't mean abdicate it, right? As to use the E-Myth lingo, you must delegate it, which means you have to have a good system for it. Here's how it works. And then you train somebody, and then you're there to support them, but not do the work yourself. That's how big companies do this stuff. And I would just say to you guys that as you think about that, and I probably can share kind of what I see as a traditional e-commerce org chart.
Guys, I think we just had a glimpse into what Steve's going to come to England with.
Yeah, well, yeah, Steve uses this same philosophy for many years, and that includes the English extravaganza we'll be having. So the whole point is you're going to be a bottleneck. And by the way, most people's common mistake is they hire a bottleneck to take their place, right? And instead of that one person doing a specific range of responsibilities, or if they have multiple responsibilities, they should be in multiple boxes so that later people understand, oh, you know what? You were doing finance and you were doing logistics and you're doing customer service, but good news, we're busy enough now, we just have a customer service person. So now you only wear two hats, and they're not surprised when they don't do that job anymore. By understanding the future, people have less resistance to the change. Otherwise, they can see these changes as demotions. They can see them as a threat to their own job. There's a whole bunch of unintended consequences that comes with hiring people and managing people. And I don't want you guys to forget that fact that people, humans will automatically make the worst case scenario come to life if you don't articulate what's actually happening. So anyway, that's my little piece there. I don't know if that helps you or not, but functional org chart is where I would start.
I think that's a huge help. I was screenshotting that half the time there, so thanks.
Yeah, good. There you go. Clever. Yeah, if I can find the org chart that we use for, okay, I found it here.
Everyone's got their screenshot finger ready.
Yeah, you guys want to just take a screenshot? I'm fine to put it on the screen.
Yeah, go for it.
Share screen. I've only got one monitor plugged in right now instead of my normal 3.
Whoa, look at that lot.
Let's see. And I'll just try to make it big for you. So give me a second.
You take your time, mate.
So, and I could talk you through it. If you guys care, go ahead and tell me if you want me to talk you through this a little bit. If you don't care, I won't waste your time. Believe me,
Actually, Stephen, I have a question about that. On this like this, do you work from top to bottom or left to right or favorite to least favorite?
When I'm like filling in the who gets hired and when? No, I don't have any strategy. I work from what I hate the most. And that's my strategy is honestly, like I am terrible at some jobs. And those also happen to be jobs that I hate. For those who are so inclined, there's a book called Strengths-Based Leadership. I highly recommend it. It'll identify your strengths. And my strengths are not in day-to-day management and execution. My strengths, although those are skills I've had to learn, my strengths are other things, strategy and learning and ideation and things like that. So the things that I hate are like, I can go nuts with spreadsheets on little tiny details. They're essential. I love to see the results, but I hate to make them. And I've got somebody who's in the merchandising department, and she loves Excel spreadsheets. Her entire world is satisfied when she's diving into the details that I hate. And that's the point, is somebody has the strengths in these other roles that is better than what you can do, and they'll be happier than when you're doing it. So even though there's a flow to this chart, left to right in terms of acquiring the customer, selling the customer, shipping to the customer, and then reporting the finance. I don't know if you notice that kind of left to right process. And there's a top down in terms of, functionality, but I fill in whatever is most painful to me. Everybody get a screenshot? Feel comfortable?
Yeah. Whatever feels, I call it Eat the Frog. I can't remember which book that was in.
I think it was Eat the Frog.
Yeah, Eat Your Frog.
All right.
There's some
Get Things Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll stop share. You guys hopefully got a copy of that. And by the way, that doesn't mean that's what your org chart should look like. That just happens to be one that we use to kind of break apart for a multi-brand organization. And, that's just our approach. It doesn't mean it's right for you. It just means that's how we do stuff.
Find your own.
Yeah, Abigail has a very good point. Get out of your own way. You really should have give yourself permission to hate stuff. That was a big turning point in my career. Like I hate certain things, and I just thought I had to keep doing it because, I'm a hard worker and I'm a tough guy and whatever. But once you can go, you know what, I can figure out, and this world today, I can outsource this stuff so easy, and it's so much more affordable, and it's easier to do that, man, oh man, I wouldn't stop. I would not hesitate to try to bring in components, even if they're part-time components, to fit into your system and make it work better.
Right. We've been going for an hour now, and I don't know how much time you can give these guys, Dee, and if you want to give us a time limit so we can.
I'm just checking. So at this moment, if you guys have more questions, I'm happy to stick around for a little bit longer. But if the audience is like, this is boring and I'm out of here, that's okay too.
I think we've lost a lot of them. Yeah. Have we lost you guys yet? Still here?
King asked a question. So a couple of people say we haven't lost him yet, hopefully. So the 4-hour work week, it's funny because a friend of mine said to me at one point, this was a number of years ago, he said, "Oh man, you're really living the 4-hour work week, man. I just can't believe how well you do this." Like, what's a 4-hour work week? And so anyway, I went and read the book. And so I like the philosophy and I like the concepts, I don't get tied into how many hours a week do I need to work. That's not the point of the book, in my opinion. It's about just making sure that we're doing things smarter and systematizing and so on and so forth. Those are all important things to me.
Cool.
So, Stephen, what I did as well is I received quite a few questions about your actual mastermind. Now, before we go into that, I just want everyone to realize how this webinar came about. Is that I'm attending a mastermind, and I only recommend things if I'm actually doing it myself. I recommended your mastermind, and then pretty much I got castrated in a lot of private messages because I don't recommend anything really. I don't really do that much because I'm so I can say frugal in the ways to spend money and buy stock and stuff, things like that. So then I thought that was a great idea for you to defend yourself, and that's why we're here.
Good.
So basically, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, you guys, both Carl and Paul have been very nice to, kind of talk about the event and so forth. But, the event's not for everybody. It's not something that we want 100 people to come to. We keep it very small, very reserved. And the reason why we do these events is so that I can have one-on-one time with people, and I bring in resources that they probably haven't thought about. For example, Jad asks, who's going to be there. One of the themes that we're going to cover, and a speaker who's coming, is a strengths-based leadership certified trainer. And we're gonna get to know everybody's strengths, and we're gonna tell them how to use those strengths, at least the beginning pieces, right? You can't do very much in 3 days. But our mission is really to take people and shake them up a little bit and break some paradigms and go, this is how you build a bigger company. This is how you scale. Here's some lessons we've learned. We're not saying it's right for you, but here's lessons we've learned. And that's why we do these things. And for me, it's a pleasure to hang out with entrepreneurs. I'm a frugal guy myself. You guys may find this hard to believe, but I'm very value focused. And from my perspective, having a high fee accomplishes two goals. One, it auto self-selects. Anybody who's not willing to risk $7,500 US on themselves shouldn't be in the room. And we even offer a rolling guarantee, which means if we suck, just fire us at the end of each day, and we'll give you the rest of your money back. We don't care. This is not about money. I do okay. Let's just say that. I do all right. I will not make money on this event. I can assure everyone. We produce, I think, a nice event. But my point is, and I want to thank you guys for your support, anybody who attends these things of any kind, if you can't take good lessons away, $2,500 lesson a day away, then we have failed you, number one, but you're probably not doing your part, number two. And that's all I'll say about that. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, actually, I think that's a great answer. It really is. And also is that, what I love this is I love questions like this, and it's a very good question. How do you ensure attendees will be engaged? How do you pre-screen attendees to weed out inexperienced people whose main aim is to attend to and sponge off? And not contribute.
So this is every person goes through an interview process. We have some other background vetting that we do that we don't show and don't share, but every person will do an interview with me, and we talk through our values, and we talk about, here's what we believe, what do you believe, and we talk about history, and we talk about things that we think are important and things that we anticipate being able to deliver on. And if there's a match, great, and if there's not, especially a philosophical match, then we still love you. We're still at your service, but we can't help you. And right now we're about, it's probably a little less than 50% are getting through the vetting process. And again, it's not a judgment. It's just like, you can't be in the room if you don't believe in that concept. The more you give, the more you get. It's not a question of, coming and saying, I want to get stuff, and then I might tell you something. If you're not there to give first and get later, it's not the right idea.
Okay, there's a question from Jack there about, can you give some examples of past success stories from the US mastermind so we can get a feel for what the UK will be like? Good question.
I think there's some testimonial videos on the page somewhere, but I can tell you this just as a meta lesson. We've never, ever advertised in the United States. It's only been word of mouth, and we maxed that group out at 30, and it's full, and there's a waiting line. So in my view, that those results kind of speak for themselves. Are we perfect? Far from it. but I know when we, have things going right, and I know when we can do better, and we take feedback, and we definitely, we get good results for people that they take control of, right? So we share examples. We can help troubleshoot exact specific situations. And if people find value in it, that's why they keep coming back. Our retention rate was 95 or something percent for last year. So that's all I need to know.
I'm just looking over here in the questions, but yes, is that actually two questions, or it's combined to one? Is this geared towards Amazon or e-commerce in general? And if so, what level should I be at in order to make it worth my time?
Yeah, so the minimum is about $1 million US turnover a year. Otherwise, it's just too much money. I don't want this sort of thing to be a pressure financially for people. I can share the story. I think we share this in one of our emails. But Warren Buffett at one time, he took his last $100. He had saved this up, and he went to a Dale Carnegie thing because he was terrified of speaking. He would throw up in front of the crowd or throw up before he had to go on. And he put $100 in personal development. That was all the money he had at the time. And he still today, 40, 50 years later, calls that one of his best investments. And the scale of that, whatever time it was in the 50s, or I don't remember the exact time frame, is just like anybody investing in themselves. If it's too much money for you, don't show up. If it is a financial pressure, don't show up. But it is largely centered around Amazon-centric guys. But one of the little things we're going to do is I'm going to take people on a field trip the second day to a company with 80 plus employees. We're going to look at their call center, their warehouse, talk to their executives, and they're an e-commerce company. They do, 30 to 40 million pounds of turnover, right? So that's a UK-based company. All of that is off of Amazon. So although we love the Amazon as a cornerstone, our mission is to help people diversify and think bigger, and that's, again, a key to scale for us. So we're going to share, how do these guys do it? It's pretty good.
Okay, brilliant. So you go. I'm sure we're getting close to time now, Steve, and I just want to touch on the scholarship thing you were talking about before.
Sure.
To make sure people know how to get it, how to enter it, what they need to do, if they need to be on the webinar, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So
and what it is.
We had this general idea that said, hey, listen, we want to give anybody a shot who really wants a shot at what we call a scholarship. So anybody who has applied or will be applying, we're going to do a drawing sometime early next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. So we'll factor in any applications, and then we'll randomly pull out a winner, and they'll get a scholarship to the event. And this means, all you basically will have to do is pay for your hotel, and everything else is taken care of.
And what about if they've already paid for to go in there already?
Yeah, to us, it'll be the computer will randomly join, grab the guy, and again, we don't care about money. I know it sounds crazy when you charge a bunch of money and then we say we don't care about money, but I'm flying a bunch of people over there. The venue's expensive and really awesome.
And a great venue.
Yeah, if anybody goes to this thing and goes, yeah, this guy's all about money, then they are missing the point, and I'm doing a terrible job. And you can fire me immediately. So if you go to the catalyst88.net/UK, there's more information. I think also that's where the testimonials are, and there's an apply button all over that page as well. And it's just kind of a long web form.
And they don't need to put anything special in there to say they want they're applying for the scholarship. No,
we're just, again, just to make it fair, any applications will be considered, and everybody should have a shot at this scholarship idea. And I'm
going to apply.
There you go. There'll be one lucky winner for sure. And I'll tell you, the way we do it is all the stuff will go into a computer, and the computer will draw a random number. So it'll be in an Excel form, not like some super secret computer. And they'll be numbered. And then we'll use a random generator. We'll probably even screen capture this so everybody can see it's kind of done on the up and up. And that's the person who will win.
Cool. Thanks, God.
Nice.
I'm feeling that maybe we should sort of kind of end it here, and if everyone's got some value from this, can you let us know?
And Stephen, if people want to contact you privately, or not privately, is there a way people can contact you or just follow you or stuff like that?
Yeah, if they just go to StevenSimonson.com, I think I've got some links on there on my Facebook and LinkedIn and this and that. And again, I love entrepreneurs. I'm at your service. If I can help you and I have the time, hit me, no problem. I don't care about mastermind or not mastermind. It's good for me to talk to entrepreneurs. It helps my brain.
And I think that goes from all three of us as well.
Yeah,
Indeed.
definitely.
That's why we share values. Thank you guys too. Hey, all right.
Thank you.
Eric, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot. But yeah, listen, I love it. Thank you guys. I do have to run. I got at the bottom of the hour, I got another thing, but I hope it's helpful. I don't know if it is or not, but if this is the kind of stuff you like talking about, then I'm your guy.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you all.
I think we called it at that. Thank you.
All right. See y'all later.
See you later.
Bye.